Hi, sir. Let's talk about some of these issues on the security situation. Joining me tonight, Governor Abdullahi Sule, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State. He joins us from Lafia in Nasarawa State. Thank you, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight on the program. Let's begin the conversation by getting your view on the statement coming from the office of the NSA that a decisive action will be taken to end the assault. There appears to be palpable fear across the land, and many are worried about the continued attacks, rightfully so. But for those who question the capacity and ability of the APC and Buhari-led federal government to deal with the situation, are they justified in their thought and opinion?
Thank you for hosting me, Shehu. I really appreciate it. Let me first and foremost, join good Nigerians in sympathizing with the various victims and their families and their parents of what we are going through in the country. Indeed, the country is going through a trying moment when it comes about security because we are now having challenges of security in several states. It is no longer restricted to the northeast, northwest, north central, or even the southeast or southwest. We are now beginning to have challenges across the country. And so we have to sympathize first with Mr. President about what is going through our security agencies, and then the various victims that continue to have this. Now, coming back to your question, concerning what you said about the NSA, it's not just today. The NSA and Mr. President and the security agencies and the governors have been having several meetings. So the outcome of his statement today is in line with most of the recommendations and the suggestions that were all put forward during those meetings. And so when he tells you there is going to be a decisive action that is going to be taken, it is all cumulative of the various actions that have been taken from the various meetings and the decisions that have been made from those meetings. And I have no doubt in my mind that decisive actions are being taken.
So part of the question is for those who had doubt the capacity and ability of the federal government under President Buhari in handling the situation, are they justified by their thought and opinion with the current state of things?
Well, in a democracy, you have people who have the right to think the way they are. But to be fair to President Muhammadu Buhari, you have to look at the security situation when he came in 2015 and try to compare it with what is happening today. You remember in 2015, most of these security challenges were restricted to the northern part of the country and predominantly in the northeastern part of the country, where, in fact, most of the local government areas, in states like Maiduguri were all taken, and maybe only about 4 or 5 local government areas were in the hands of the government when he came in. So now, what action has been taken? Have we been successful in that process? What is the situation about declaration of the emergency in 3 states at the time, if you remember? The states of Yobe, state of Adamawa, and then Borno were all under state of emergency. All that is now gone. Now, unfortunately, most of these bandits have escaped to other places, and we are also having different kinds of challenges because we had the NSAS, and we had, after the NSAS, what is now happening. We have the IPOB, we have what is happening. So you have to look at the battalion of challenges that we are facing and the actions that are being taken every day. Banditry has become so common, kidnapping has become so common, and then we are taking these actions one after another. So I think for people who are saying that the administration of Muhammadu Buhari doesn't have the capacity, I think that's just in their imagination and then just their opinions. But in reality, actions are being taken daily, and these security agencies are doing everything possible. And I'm telling you, from the part of somebody who understands maybe what is happening. I live with insecurity challenges, I work with it. We go through this every day that we are going through and we are handling them. So to say there is no capacity, I think that's a very unfair statement.
But how then do you explain if those who think the government doesn't have the capacity to handle the situation. In fact, it calls in some members of the National Assembly, those who are in the opposition, who are calling that, look, if the present administration cannot do it, they should step aside. Perhaps looking at the situation of things in the past and how things have degenerated and the scale of deaths and the spate of attacks that we have seen, does that explain the effort and the activities of government and the result that we are seeing? Is that a commensurate? Is it commensurate? Is it justified? Is it measuring up in the eye of an average Nigerian?
Well, what an average Nigerian needs to understand and see, and what we are seeing on a daily basis, are the challenges we are facing every day at the various states and the way they are being handled. Most of these kidnappings that you have seen, the security agencies mount a lot of pressure. In most cases, they get them released. In some cases, it takes a little bit longer to get them released. I think there are two different approaches that people are talking about. A lot of people keep saying that we need outside support. We need outside support. So having outside support doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have the capacity. During most of these wars that we have fought in the world, you will see a lot of countries actually asking for foreign support to come in and assist them at different ends. Now, if you look at the capacity, how many people we have at the various agencies, take the police, for instance. One of the states that used to have over 40,000 policemen, today they have roughly just 25 to 30% of that. We have less number. So if that is the kind of capacity you are talking about, well, that's what the agency, Mr. President, had given them the go-ahead to make sure they engage more people, they engage more personnel, to go ahead. If it is the capacity about the equipment, some of this equipment, you don't just go and order them over the shelf. You have to place orders before they come in. And those orders have been placed, and some of these equipment are coming. So when you say capacity in what aspect of it? Even if you bring somebody else to come from outside, they have to understand your environment. We are having our personnel that actually understand the environment, and they are doing the best they can.
Governor, apologies to cut in. Capacity might be, the questioning of the capacity of the government is perhaps coming on the basis of the promises made at the campaigns and when the government was seeking power and what they said they will do and what we are seeing right now. And that's why I asked if those who are saying, is the government living up to the promises that he made and when he was seeking office?
Yes, when the government was coming in, the only major problem we had about insecurity in the country was Boko Haram. Boko Haram has technically been defeated. That's what I told you. If you look at what is happening today, in Borno State, in Borno State, most of those local government areas that have been taken over by Boko Haram, they have now been taken over by the government. When the government was coming in, the only major insecurity there was about that. There was no question of the IPOP. There was no question of the NSAS. There was no question of kidnappings on the highways on a daily basis. There was no, so all those things were not there. These are new things that are coming.
So sorry again, the question will be, how did the government allow all of these things to degenerate to this point?
Government did not allow anything to degenerate. For instance, take the issue of the banditry we have today in Nasarawa State. Most of those bandits that were dislodged from places like Borno, Anyobe, a lot of them actually found their ways through the security to come to places like Nasarawa today to go and gather themselves at a place called Utu. The government, again, all the security agencies had a joint operation of the Air Force, the police, DSS, the Navy, and the rest of that, and they attacked them. They killed many of them ran away, and we took hostage of so many of their members of their families. So the problems are coming one after another. Government will not necessarily on its own just say insecurity coming.
Okay.
So these insecurity are issues that are coming. Is it the government that now asks NSAS to start their protest?
All right.
This NSAS start President Buhari, did the SARS start with him? Is something he inherited. I think those are the issues people look at.
we are due for break now, but quickly, there have been a series of meetings that you have recently been part of. And one will imagine that mostly these meetings are on how to resolve the insecurity situation in the country. For you, what has come out of these meetings as possible concrete solution to these problems?
Well, all these meetings, that's why from the beginning I answered that some of the issues, some of the statements made by the NSA today are actually cumulative, based on different kinds of those meetings that we have had. A lot of these meetings that we have had, we made our own recommendations, we made our own suggestions. We were also asked to go back, to our various states, and see what we can do. And then it requires planning. Security issues is about planning, so they have been planning and they are putting things forward, and we are coming in, we're taking actions one at a time. And that's what you will see. It's not that when you have a meeting today, there is going to be operation tomorrow. It requires some planning, and the planning is what is happening. And that's why he made that decisive statement that Nigerians are going to see decisive action taken.
Okay. So we will go on a break, but when we come back, we would like you to tell us some of those decisive action that we should be expecting in the coming days, because the tension is palpable. Nigerians need some respite. They want to hear what will make them sleep well tonight. We'll be back with a conversation with Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back.
The spate of kidnappings, banditry, and criminality in our state are increasing at a very alarming rate. The bandits are getting bolder by the day, inching closer and moving from rural communities even to urban communities. The city of Zaria was attacked last week and 2 housewives abducted in the peripheries of Zaria city. Our schools are being attacked and the students being executed by these bandits. In Greenfield University, we've lost 5 students that were killed in cold blood by these evil people.
Nobody can say that he or she is safe now. Nobody can say so, even as a governor. You cannot say governors have been attacked, even on the roads. So the security of the system of the nation has collapsed. Has collapsed. The present government of APC has not shown enough commitment to protect life and property of Nigerians. Mere saying is not enough. If people did not vote for them, that's how it would have been. Oh, if we had known. Now, you have seen it.